Question, friend. What codependent patterns are keeping you stuck in an old cycle, reliving old drama time and time again, right? So for me, hi, I'm Heidi. It's hard to see what you're untangling from when it's all unconscious, when you can't really see the patterns. So today, it's my intention to shine light on the 5 different codependent patterns that I practiced for 30 years in my marriage. And then the last 8 years, I have been untangling from these patterns, untangling from the codependency that I couldn't even see. So, the first pattern that I noticed at the end of 30 years of this beautiful relationship, it wasn't bad. We loved each other deeply. We still do. But I had no idea what I really wanted. So I thought I was creating the life of my dreams. But was I really? I had 2 successful careers. We had money in the bank. We were taking nice vacations. We had beautiful evenings together. We had our children out of the house, and everything seemed to be going well. But the truth was I wasn't really living my life. I was living the life that I thought my parents wanted me to live, that my husband wanted me to live, that my kids were proud of, that I felt proud of, but was I really living my life? And really the answer was I didn't even know what I wanted because I had never given myself permission to live my own life. I didn't trust myself. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't know who I was. And so it took the end of my marriage and really the last 8 years to untangle from the codependency to have a sense of self. So, my friends, if you are struggling with a sense of self, it might be the codependency because you've outsourced your power, your sovereignty to someone else to tell you who you are and how important you are and how valued you are and how worthy you are. So I want to tell you right now, here and now, that you are worthy, that you are enough, that you are deserving in and of yourself. It is not dependent on a relationship. So when I got divorced from my 30-year marriage, my dad, my bio dad, said, "Bad girl, Heidi, why would you do that?" And I felt such shame and guilt from leaving that marriage because it was a good marriage. It was a lovely marriage. I love this person. But why would you walk away from somebody that you love? Well, because I was not being true to me. I was not being true to me. That was the reason. But there was so much guilt and shame even from leaving the marriage, from doing what I thought was right for me and being not approved of from my dad and from other family members that thought I should not have left the marriage. I had guilt and shame over that for a little while until I didn't. So this is part of the untangling, friends. It's untangling from unconscious loops and patterns of behavior that were coping mechanisms in the past, but they don't work for me anymore. So my own sense of sovereignty is more important to me than getting approval from my father who thought I should have stayed married. So that concept number one is you don't know what you want. You've outsourced that to somebody else. Pattern number two that I learned very early on is that keeping peace above all else is the most important thing, right? Keeping peace in the household is the most important thing. And somehow it was my responsibility to do that. I felt responsible for everybody else's emotions. I felt responsible for everyone else's peace. And if things were not peaceful, it was somehow my fault. And in my household growing up, it was very chaotic. It was very unpredictable. And so I felt like a failure the majority of the time. And as I grew up and left the home and created my own family, I was responsible for keeping my husband happy. I was responsible for keeping my kids happy. And when they weren't happy, it caused me so much suffering because I was responsible for them being happy. And one of my children had really suffered with depression. And if you are a parent with a child that's dealing with depression, you cannot make them happy. There's nothing I could do to make this person feel better, right? And that was a big lesson for me is to realize that I'm responsible for my own happiness and others are responsible for their own happiness. And the best thing that I can do is to make myself happy and to find my own sense of joy and peace. And once I do that, I can pass that on to my family members. But if I'm trying to make the other person happy while I'm not happy, it's not working, friend. Yeah, I'm sure that you realize that. And pattern 5 is what happens when you live the first 4 patterns for long enough. You arrive completely exhausted, not the kind of tired that sleep is going to fix, but a deeper exhaustion that I will call soul fatigue. I spent years feeling drained and not understanding why, because, my life looked pretty good, like even successful. I had a husband who loved me, a family, a home, but I was always running on empty. And here's what I know now. It takes an enormous amount of energy to manage everyone else's emotions, to scan the room for tension, to anticipate needs, and feel responsible for everyone. I never was able to say what was really on my mind because I had to keep the peace. So, what do you do with all of this? Well, here is what happened for me. The marriage, it did not end because it was bad. It transformed because I woke up. There was a shift from conditional love to unconditional love. And where did it start? It started right here with me, learning to love myself without conditions, without having to earn it, without having to perform for it, just receiving it. That's the work, my friend. Being able to love yourself as you are. And it's not a one time thing, it's daily in small little moments when you choose yourself again and again, when you notice that you've outsourced your power, that you've bought into a lie or a limiting belief that says you're not enough, right? That you need something other. Yes, this is the work, my friend, to choose yourself again and again. The marriage, it did not fail. I'm not upset about it failing. What happened is I woke up, and waking up is just the beginning. It is definitely not the end. Pattern number 3 is you feel guilty when you say no. Now, this one still visits me. Now, if you are noticing you feel guilty when you set a boundary, maybe that old story could change. Now, if you're like me, you've noticed yourself volunteering for extra shifts, going to run people around when you really don't have the time or energy to do that, making somebody else a meal, taking care of their kids, whatever it is. I would say yes to things that I didn't really want to do. And then I'd be resentful about it. I'd be mad that you didn't give me the reward I was looking for or whatever. I would exhaust myself until I had nothing left and feel like I really wasn't giving enough, right? Because somewhere in my wiring, when I said no, it meant that I was bad, I was selfish, and I was unloving. And that is just absolutely not the truth. It is programming, old programming. And the guilt that you feel when you say no, it's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you were taught that your needs, they don't come first, you come second. And unlearning these old ways of being, it becomes a practice. It does for me anyway. But here is what I know now. A boundary, it's not a line in the sand. It is not a wall. It is a doorway. And I get to decide, you get to decide who comes through that door and when that doorway is accessed. That's what a boundary is. You don't have to feel bad for saying no. Pattern number 4 is a quiet one, the one that feels like love. See, I didn't just love helping people. I needed to be needed. My identity, my value, my sense of purpose, it was all wrapped up in what I could do for other people. If you needed me, I mattered, right? And if you didn't need me, then who was I? Now what? So in my marriage, it looked like I was a devoted wife. I was a great mother and caretaker, the one who held it all together. And I genuinely loved doing it most of the time, right? But I didn't know where I ended and where the relationship began. I was all intertwangled in it. And I disappeared inside of being needed. And when you get your worth from being needed, you can't let anyone stop needing you. That's the downside. So think about it. You can't truly want someone to be okay without you because if they are, Now what, right? Is that really love? No, it's a trade and it will hollow you out, my friend. At least that is my experience. Pattern number 5 pulls it all together and helps you understand why you are so tired, why you are exhausted. And it's the kind of exhaustion that sleep just does not fix. It's the deeper exhaustion. It is called soul fatigue. That's my experience. So I spent many, many years feeling drained and not understanding why. My life looked fine. It looked good, even. It looked successful. I had a husband who loved me, a family, a home. I was running on empty every day. And here's what I know. It takes an enormous amount of energy to manage everybody else's feelings, to scan the room for tension, to anticipate everyone's needs, and to keep yourself small, to never say what's really on your mind because I needed everybody else's approval. If any of these patterns landed for you today, if you saw yourself in any of this, I want you to hear me, friend. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too much or not enough. You are waking up. And waking up is holy. Untangling from codependency, it is hard to do alone. I know I tried for many years, and you don't have to. Inside the support circle, we work through these patterns together. You see that you're not alone, you're just human. We have real conversations with real people, and we let go of all judgment. You'll find the link below. So tell me, my friend, which of these patterns did you recognize in yourself? I would love to know. I love you, my friend. Be well. You've got this. Keep going.